Hello and welcome to another awesome video lesson from Bauer Guitar Lessons. I'm Brent Bauer, Mr. Brent, and this is for the week of May 25th, 2019, and this lesson was...
awesome!
Indeed it was. Alright, so we definitely did have a really cool and awesome lesson indeed. First thing we did is we went back to our Learning the Notes Mastery series where we did the F notes, and the first thing we did is you did it with your eyes closed, which was awesome. So then we went back at 60 beats per minute and you went through them and you got them. So nice pat on the back there, round of applause. Very cool job. So now what I want you to do is keep practicing it, and you could try practice it with your eyes closed and then try to go ahead and bring it up to maybe 65 beats per minute. Very cool job. Alright, and then that brought us to...
Phoebe time!
Phoebe time?
Yes.
And then theory time. They kind of go together. Alright, so we definitely had some really cool stuff in the theory. So we went through and we showed 3 ways that we'd be able to find the notes in a scale. And the first way is what we're focusing on, which is isolating the tetrachords. So the lower tetrachord and the upper tetrachord. Now each tetrachord has 3 or 4 main tones. The root is the first one. Then the major second is in the second tone. Third tone is the major third. And the fourth tone is the perfect fourth. Now we're going to focus on that. Now we went through a couple things, went through Ionian 1A, going through the whole scale, and then Dorian 2, as well as going into Phrygian 3. But what I want you to do is I want you to just focus on this one tetrachord pattern, because this tetrachord pattern is brought into so many of those different fretboard shapes. So we're just going to focus on that first part, and then we'll go into the next one, and then once we get that, it just makes it easy. We just lay it on top into the fretboard shapes. Very cool job. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's zoom in, see what we got here. Okay, first thing is to go over this shape, and this is going to apply to all the strings except the G and B, because all the other strings are tuned to a perfect fourth, while G and B is tuned to a major third, so it just slightly alters. So let's start off with the E and A strings, which are tuned to a perfect fourth. And let's go ahead and use the A note on fret 5 as our root. And then we're going to use our position. So the root is always going to be used with our second finger in this case. First finger is on fret 4. Again, second finger is on fret 5. Third finger is on fret 6. Fourth finger is on fret number 7 here. Now, we start with the root. And then the major second, which is on the same string. That's going to be on fret 7 in this case. To our major third on the A string and the perfect fourth. Now that is the first tetrachord. That's also the lower tetrachord in the Ionian 1A, but we're just going to focus that on just that specific tetrachord. Root, major second, major third, perfect fourth. So this is the tetrachord with the major second on the same string as the root. And now what we're going to do is just go through it and then go back with it. Now what we're going to do is from here, drop it down to the A and D strings. It's the exact same thing because these are also tuned to a perfect fourth. So root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, major third, major second, root. Bring it down to the D and G strings, which is also tuned to a perfect fourth. And let's go ahead and skip and go down to the B and high E strings, which is also tuned to a perfect fourth. And now let's go up to the G and B strings. Slightly different, so our root's going to actually be with our first finger. And let's go ahead and just bring it to fret 5 here. Now our new position, lay out the chromatic. We're going to go to major second, which is still on the same string as the root. So that's why we know it's the same pattern. And then we're going to go to major third. Now remember, G and B are tuned to a major third, so it's just like dropping it down to the exact same fret as the first finger on the G. So first finger goes to the B. That's our major third. Perfect fourth is the very next fret on fret 6. So root, major second, major third, perfect fourth. And those are the shapes. Alright, very cool, awesome job. So what I want you to do is I want you to practice that tetrachord. Now this is the tetrachord with the major second sharing on the same string as the root. And what I want you to do is just go through all of them. So from the EA, the AD, the DG, GB, and the BE strings. And then also just go ahead and use a metronome and try to increase in speed. I want you to try it at 100 beats per minute doing quarter notes, and then see if you can bring it up to 150. And then what we're going to do, that's really going to get reps in, and then you'll start to really solidify that shape. And then all we have to do is insert it in. Very cool, awesome, awesome job. And then that brought us into some 10,000 Reasons, which went great. We went over some lead parts for both verses, verse 1 and verse 2. We're going to start with verse 2, and then we're going to go to verse 1. So let's do this. Let's zoom in, see what we got here. Okay, so let's go to 5th position. So first finger's on fret 5. Lay out that chromatic exercise. And our root note is D, which is on the G string on fret 7. So we're going to be using intervals on the G and B strings. We're going to start off with a perfect fourth. So our pinky is going to be right there on fret number 8. Then we're going to slide the pinky to the same fret as the ring finger. That's on fret 7. That's our major third. Then we're going to go to a major second. So first finger goes to fret 5 on the B string. And then back to our major third. And we're going to do 2 beats for each one, starting with the perfect fourth. We're going to pick down on the B string and then up on the G string. 1 and 2 and. Then the next 2 beats, we're going to have the major third. 3 and 4 and. Major second. 1 and 2 and. Back to major third. 3 and 4 and. And that's the whole part. We're just going to keep repeating that. And then at the very end, we're going to go ahead and bar with our first finger, or you can use your third finger, fret number 7 on the G, B, and high E strings. And what you're going to do, you're going to pick down on the G, come up on the B, down on the G again, come up on the high E. And that's the whole part. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put our looper on with the chord progression, and we're just going to go ahead and go through it. Now for that last part, when the last chord, I'll just say last part, and that will get us set to bar the G, B, and E strings. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last part. 4. Last part. Alright, very cool job. So that is verse number 2 right there. Now we're going to go ahead and go into verse 1 riff. Now remember, we're not doing anything for a good part of it except this little riff that happens on the 3rd, 4th beats into the 1st beat, which is... So we're in 5th position again, and we're going to lay out the chromatic exercise. So we're staying in the same position as 2nd verse, verse 2. We're going to start with fret 7 on the high E, then fret 5, then pinky, fret 8 on the B, 7 on the B, 5 on the B, and then 7 on the G. And what it is, it's going to come in on the third beat. 1, 2, 3, a 4 E and a 1. A 4 E and a 1. So let's go ahead and turn on our beat buddy. Okay, let's go ahead and feel this out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get ready. 1, 2, 3, a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. So feel out where the downbeats are. 3, a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3. Alright, very cool, awesome job. So what I want you to do is go over both of those parts. So first verse 2 and then verse 1. And then for practicing, what I want you to do is go ahead and go through all the F notes with the fretboard shapes. You can try them with your eyes closed and then going through at 65 beats per minute. And then also going through Bauer Method Level 2 with that lower tetrachord shape for the E, A, D, G, B, and B, E strings. And just go ahead and try with the metronome at 100 beats per minute. See if you can bring it up a little bit faster each time. And then go through 10,000 Reasons, verse 1 and verse 2 lead parts, and you'll be all set for next week. Alright, that's going to wrap up this video lesson, so I hope you got a lot out of it, enjoyed yourself, so stay tuned, because there's plenty more coming, and always remember, always strive to be
in perfect harmony.
Take care.